Welcome, film industry professionals, film buffs, and aspiring filmmakers. I'm your host, Fernando Gillen, and our lovely co-host, Dana De La Camera. This is the Cinema Pathway TV show, presented by Paradoxical Films and brought to you by Cinematographer. Join us on this journey behind the camera and, most importantly, beyond what we know about cinema and the craft of filmmaking and all its mysteries. So please take a seat, grab a soda and some popcorn, and join us on this cinema road together, because we are the Cinema Pathway TV show. Welcome to the Cinema Pathway TV show. I am your host, Fernando Gillen, and I am so happy that you can join us for today's episode. Our guest is a great cinematographer who has had 30 years of experience in the film industry. We welcome you to the show, Ricardo Jaques Gale.
Ricardo Jaques Gale is a seasoned and highly respected Cuban American filmmaker and cinematographer with over 30 years of experience in the entertainment industry. Based in our backyard, Ricardo's career spans an impressive array of work, including 86 film credits across feature films, short films, television series, and commercials. Ricardo began his journey in the industry as a production assistant in Miami before advancing his education at USC Film School in Los Angeles. From there, he gained hands-on experience in various technical roles, working as a film lab technician, key grip, gaffer, and even flying Steadicam for a decade. His big break as a cinematographer came under the mentorship of the legendary Roger Corman. Throughout his career, Ricardo has contributed to 26 projects in the camera and electrical department, produced 11 short films and music videos, and directed 2 feature films, Eyes of the Serpent, 1994, and Alien Intruder, 1993. Ricardo's cinematography has earned international acclaim, with his work showcased in 9 television series, including the acclaimed series Monk. He has collaborated on projects across the globe. Among his many accolades, Ricardo was awarded Best Cinematography at the Saudi Arabian Film Festival 2024 for the feature Within Sand, Best Cinematography at the North Idaho Film Festival 2024 for I Voted, and has contributed to films recognized at prestigious international festivals such as Cannes, Toronto International Critics Award for West Beirut, and others, including Touching Home. Ricardo's visual storytelling has not only captivated audiences, but also earned him a reputation as one of the most talented cinematographers working today, with a portfolio that continues to grow and inspire filmmakers worldwide.
What an impressive resume, man. The list goes on and goes on and goes on.
Oh, it's very, very kind of you. Thank you.
So how did it all started? Why filmmaking?
Are we doing the award now? We doing the award now, or are we going to do it at the end of the show?
Possibly at the end of the show.
Okay, fine. They told me it was going to be now. Okay, I'm sorry. I started as a PA. I got in by accident. I started at FIU, and I was there in a theater program at the same time with Andy Garcia and Stephen Bauer, and one thing led to another, and I got on a movie that came down from New York. They brought almost everybody. I don't know how I got into this movie, but anyway, it was a Virginia Key, and it was too cold to shoot in New York, so they brought a lot of people down from New York, and it was called Cheerleaders Beach Party. So I was on the set, and I'm driving up to the set, and I see this guy at the time I didn't, now it's a Fisher Dolly with a Panavision, which is a very sexy camera. He's pointing, and I said, I think that's the DP. I want to be that guy. And then they turned around, and all these guys from New York are like, give me a C-stand. And they turned around. I was the last guy standing there on the beach, and I'm like, so I go running, and there was this Winnebago, which is an RV, for those of you who don't know what Winnebago is. And the door was in the back. They had a door in the back, and I jumped in, and there was just a pile of equipment, like just dumped in a giant pile. Well, and then there was a door, because the front part was makeup and wardrobe, and there was a door there. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I look up, and there's this naked, one of the cheerleaders, there were 3, blonde, and she's standing there and looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and I said, what's a C-stand? And with much disgust, she goes, one of those, and I grabbed the C-stand and I jumped out the back door. So that was like my first 2 minutes on a set. So I said, I'm in the right place. I found my calling.
Just like that, it clicked. How was that experience of being with Andy Garcia and Stephen Bauer?
I never really ran into them, but we were there. together because they were like really in the theater. I was in the theater program, but I was taking film classes, cinematography classes.
Not so much
I never
acting.
really crossed paths with them. I would later with Andy was a friend for a while in LA when he came out there with my partner. We'd have, barbecues in the backyard.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah. I mean,
how's he like? You never actually met, like interacted with him?
Yeah. Whenever he came over to the barbecues, I mean, all the time, sure. Because he had just come to LA and he wasn't famous yet or anything. He was, getting little parts on Hill Street Blues and stuff like that. So, he was great. I think I don't know if he brought Muddy V over then, his wife and all that, but yeah, it was great. It was great. Everything was, we're all starting out kind of.
That's cool, man. And I see that you also had experience in like the electrical department within the filmmaking universe. And for our audience, those of you who do not know the difference, can you explain to them a little bit about what's like the difference between the cinematographer and the electrical hands-on work?
Well, as a cinematographer, director of photography, you're in charge of really kind of 4 departments. The camera department, which is under me, or the camera assistants. Everybody's different. Look, I go up to the cameras aren't cameras anymore, they're computers. So I go up to them and they're all 24 years old. I mean, I worked with an Alexa for 3 years before I knew how to turn it on. I didn't know where
before you learn how to turn it on.
I didn't know where the on button was.
What?
So
was that something that?
No, because that's why I have them, and I go make it do this, this, and this, and then I go do what I got. I got lighting. I don't hang out by the camera. I'm on the floor lighting. So you have cinematographer has 2. So the camera department takes care of the cameras. You have grip and lighting. So you have the gaffer in charge of the lighting department. You have the key grip in charge of the grip department. The grips are kind of like the construction workers, sort of. They do have, scaffolding. If we need a light up in the ceiling, they will they'll make something to attach.
So that's
the
like
light
the heavy
to the wall.
work.
Heavy work, but it's all very critical. And I saw a key grip buzz I did a movie in Belize with Tim Roth and Malkovich. In the jungle, the DP wanted a high shot, and we went to lunch and came back, and Buzz had built a camera tower out of bamboo that was 30 feet high in like an hour and a half.
Does John Malkovich actually talks like this?
I've
heard he's a pretty cool guy, though.
He's kind of like how you would think Malkovich is. He's to himself a lot. So it was very quiet. We didn't chit-chat over lunch or anything. Tim and I have the same birthday, May 14th. So
you and Tim Roth?
And Tim Roth. So we were in the jungle and we were doing a night shoot, and we had 200 extras dressed in African garb because it was supposed to be Africa. And they had their own tent and their own food and everything. And they got us a cake, and they knew it was our birthday, and they sang us happy birthday on the jungle drums. So that was, that's a kind of cool thing about filmmaking.
Hell yeah, like all the experiences and all those unique moments, because they're...
Yeah, I got married in Key West. 24 hours later, I was in Belize. So much for the honeymoon. So, yeah.
So like right after?
I was married in Key West, and 24 hours later, I was in Belize. Yeah.
Wow.
They tell you got to be there, you got to be there. And,
Especially for your wedding.
I was there for the wedding. I just wasn't there for the honeymoon. So... Somebody else took my place. So
like a rental or something?
Yeah, rent a husband. Back to the electrical department. So the electricians, so the gaffers, the key grips put a thing on the wall, and electrical department handles anything with a plug on it to keep it simple. So
anything with a cable that plugs in.
Anything with a plug on it, electrical takes care of that.
Keep it simple, keep it smart. So about your mentorship, you worked with the great Roger Corman, actor, producer, director. Can you share about how was that experience? I mean, it's not every day you get a mentor like that.
So I interview with the director, and I didn't have my first movie yet. We're down at New Horizons down in Santa Monica, sort of. And I went back home, and then he said, it's between you and another guy. And I was doing Steadicam. I was fairly hot Steadicam guy at the time. And I said, I'll give you the Steadicam. I'll give it to you, free. So
you had a reputation by then.
I was pretty up and coming. At that point, there were only 3 or 4 guys in LA that did Steadicam. So of course they picked me, because who's not going to take a free Steadicam, And it wasn't like I read the script or anything. So, I was at home, I remember, and he called me and says, well, you got the job if you want it. And I said, and I studied and struggled for so long to get my first movie. And I go, so what's the movie about? And he says, oh, it's cockroaches eating people. So it was called The Nest. which it has its own like little cult following, I think. So at the lumberyard, which we called the studio was called the lumberyard. It was in Venice. Because it used to be a lumberyard, everybody started there. Cameron, Scorsese, Coppola, Nicholson. So we had a lot of cockroaches. We had a family that would go down to the dumpsters in Venice and hand catch cockroaches for the movie. And then they set up boards on the ground in the sets. So theoretically, the cockroaches wouldn't go anywhere. But of course, cockroaches crawled over the wood. And so the studio was infested for like the next year with cockroaches.
Kind of like Joe's apartment.
That was kind of fun, sort of.
What do you mean, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, it was just weird because, they'd be crawling on you and stuff and everybody's doing this. And so it's not every day you get to shoot cockroaches eating people. So the second movie I did, same director. I did the director's first 3 movies. And the second one was a kickboxing movie in Manila, which is a whole nother lengthy conversation. But what I did for that movie, I'd never shot a fight before, and we had 21 fights in that movie. So
this was your first time shooting fight sequences?
Yeah.
Ever? Did somebody taught you how to shoot fight? Oh, you just went commando?
No. I rented Raging Bull, and I studied every fight in that movie, and every single fight in that movie, if I recall, was 21. How many edits? There were 21 edits in every fight, if I recall correctly. So, and then I dissected. There was one fight in Raging Bull where these heat waves are coming up in front of the cameras, and which doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. I knew what they were. So I got sternocans, which I've done since then, and you put the sternocam in front of. So I just copied all the fights. One was long lens, one was wide. So I just went to Terry, the director, and I said, okay, here's the deal with all these fights. This is how they did them. So we kind of replicated that. There's a shot in Raging Bull where the guy goes like this, falling. And one of the third or fourth shot in the movie, I had a 2C, and I just fell with the 2C to my eye, following the guy falling. And, I crashed into the ground with my head in the camera.
How did you feel after you completed that task? It must have been like a total new experience for you, especially like if it was your first time shooting that fight sequence.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. So you just fake it. And so the stadium, we shot most of this stuff in the stadium. I think we were there for a week or 10 days or something. So they had all these extras. I had like 1,000 extras. So like every 2 days, there would be half of the extras. By the time we finished the fights, there were no extras. So at the beginning, I lit the extras because they paid for them. We had extras,
right.
And as they got less extras, I started turning lights off. So if you watch the movie, then fights and you don't see anybody because there isn't anybody.
There isn't anybody.
And so I had to turn the lights off and not light them because there was nobody there.
Right. Right.
So, and then the final climactic scene where the good guy and the bad guy fight, which is outside, which started in this beautiful, like stone ancient amphitheater with rain. And I had my lighting order, and then they showed up with a lighting order and everything. Like if I ordered a 5K, it was a 2K. So they cut everything in half. So we shot, and
right.
I didn't tell anybody. And we shot. And then I remember driving back. You
didn't tell anybody, like anybody?
Well, I didn't have enough light because my meter at that time, that meter was reading E. When it read E, it means you don't have enough light. Okay.
Oh,
it's
right.
not reading anything. It's like, and so I got in the car with Terry that morning when the sun came up. We started shooting. And I told him, and he said, well, push the film a stop, which would have saved it. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. I said, I feel it'll be there. I think it'll be there.
So you were just acting instinctively.
I felt it would be there, and it looks great. It had been all black. Roger would have killed me. They would have just killed me. I would have disappeared.
So at this point in your career, with all of that experience, what would you say was the best advice that you were giving so far? Now that you have the chance, what would you advise like the new generation of filmmakers?
Charlie Rose, who used to be a talk show host late at night, Steve Martin was on one night, and I watched Make Your Work Impossible to Ignore.
Make your work impossible to ignore. I like that.
I'm not giving Steve credit for that anymore. It's been too long.
We'll be right back with more of Ricardo Jaques Gale.
Welcome to Tell Your Story. It is a masterclass hands-on workshop that is presented by Cinematographer and brought to you by Paradoxical Films. Crafting cinematic vision and lighting engineers with the instructor, Mr. Egon Stefan Jr. You will learn how to work with actual film, 16mm, Super 16mm, 35mm, and film cameras. In addition, how to load them and change magazines. Furthermore, the workshop will prepare you on how and what it takes to work on set as a first or second assistant camera, the fundamentals of lighting, and the pathway to becoming a director of photography. Furthermore, coming soon, unveiling the artistry, a mastering of makeup techniques with the uber-talented special effects makeup artist, Bianca Graziani. She will enrich your knowledge and techniques with professional tools that are implemented in the film industry, commercials, and more. For information about the classes and updates, everything will be posted on our website at www.paradoxicalfilms.com/tell-your-story.
Welcome back, Cinema Pathway people. We are here with our guest, one of the most influential filmmakers in South Florida, Ricardo Jaques Gale. Ricky, so, man, amazing experiences you've had throughout your career, multiple locations, multiple countries. You've met celebrities, directors. You've done everything in the film industry. Have you had any accidents? Have you been into like situations where you've gotten hurt or like situation where you've actually hurt people? Anything of that nature that you can share with us?
We were doing a Western in Old Tucson, and I was on second unit. It was supposed to be this guy throwing dynamite sticks, so we were just doing explosions.
How do you get that job?
Like, hey, we're looking for a dynamite guy.
No, I wasn't doing it. I was filming it. So, you know, it was a camera, like, you know, a camera and a tripod. We were in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, and so the effects guy, you know, they have bombs, and they're different. They're made out of naphthalene or black powder or both. They dig a little hole, like almost where you are there, and the camera's very close. And there's nothing, man. There's not a bush or anything. So the guy's son, and they knew what they were doing, going hot. So what they do is they have a meter. When they connect going hot, they have a little meter in it. So they see they have a circuit, but they're actually putting electricity through it.
Right.
So when he said going hot, I like just tuck in behind the camera, and like he's like right here, and the bomb blew up in his face. And I mean,
wow.
It was, I'm sorry, it was funny because it really has no power. Like he didn't lose his fingers or anything, but it was like those cartoon characters, you know, their face is black and the hair's all like that. Hair's back like, it was just like that. It was hysterical. I mean, he couldn't hear too well for a while, but that was the funniest thing I ever saw. He didn't get hurt. But in Beirut, we'd finished this stairway shot that I was doing handheld, and Zia, the director, was right there sitting on the ground, and there was like 2 steps, and I just took a step, and my left knee just exploded. I just had face plant right in front of him, and my knee, it just like exploded. So it was the end of the night. We're almost dawn. The movie I did that you mentioned in Saudi Arabia, the key grip kind of didn't do his job. The person playing an actor was on the ground, and I tripped over him one time. He didn't even need to be there, really, but there was nobody really in control of this movie. So not only did I trip over him the first time, we did the take because the bad guy's coming and it's going to shoot him. And he's like here behind me. You can't even see him. I'm with the guy with the gun, and I'm backing up with the camera. And yet again, I tripped over him, but this time I fell on my ass and broke my coccyx, your tailbone. And so kept shooting. And went home. The next day at lunch, I shot the whole next morning, and the next day they forced me, literally, to go. The guy took me to the hospital. I went to the hospital, they x-rayed me, they gave me, an ass gasket and some
pain medicine,
and went back and finished the day. So finished the movie the next 3 weeks with the broken tailbone. You can't keep me off my set.
How was that dynamic when you encounter difficult actors? How did you handle the I saw a smirk? So I'm pretty sure you have something good.
There's an actor who has probably done, I think in Guinness Book of World Records, maybe more movies than anyone. I've shot him 6 or 7 times. I shot him like 6 Decembers in a row. It was crazy. And then I shot him in Texas, and it was like 10 years later. Now, the last time I shot him in San Francisco, we were nose to nose, screaming at each other.
Did you guys
That was how it kind of ended.
Completely.
And then we finished the scene. And then I would see him 10 years later. So when I found out they cast him.
What did you feel?
Well, I prepped for it spiritually. I talked to God and I said, look, this could go any which way. He could walk up and take a swing at me, say, I don't want to work with this guy. Maybe he forgot about it, whatever. So he shows up and I'm just hanging in the background, hiding. And finally, he saw me and he comes up to me, hugs me, and he stops the whole thing. He says, this guy, you got this guy? This guy's the best. You got this guy? This
Wow.
guy's amazing. So you know what? I don't know. Who cares? Did he forget about it? Whatever. Did he remember? Doesn't matter.
Could have been just the heat of the moment, something like that. I mean,
No, I know why it happened then. I know why. It wasn't like I didn't know. There's drugs, there's alcohol, there's fights with girlfriends, wives. I mean, you know.
what's your perspective on how the industry is today compared to those days?
I can only talk about crew, I guess. I mean, actors are actors and the same. And I have many friends who are very famous actors. I mean, I had a guy who was the lead on The Closer, and he's a very good friend of mine. I was doing a movie and the producer was sending him emails. He wanted to cast him for a scene day one, you know, and he wasn't answering his emails. So I called him up. He's on my phone. I called him up and I said, you got these emails? He goes, yeah, I got these emails. And I'm like, are you doing that? I said, yeah, I'm shooting it. He goes, okay, fine, I'll do it. I said, wait a minute, did you read the script? And he says, I don't need to read the script. You're doing it? You're shooting it? And I go, yeah. He says, okay.
Just like that.
Just like that, because he trusts me.
Because he knows you. He knows your work. He knows your
He's
ethic.
worked with me, and he knows me personally. And I have 10 actors like that in my phone.
What's that feeling like, man? Like
they trust me. Neil McDonough, I did a 45-minute short, which is ridiculous, with Neil. Before Neil was Neil. This
45-minute
Christ,
short.
This is 98 or 99 or something like that.
Before the Y2K thing.
Never saw him again. So 3 years ago, he shows up on my set. They cast him as the mayor. This movie that's actually going to come out in theaters in July. It's supposed to be in Miami, called Guns and Moses. The set was very dark. It was nighttime. So he walks in, I heard his voice. And it's very dark. And I walked up behind him, and actors get every actor gets his own color of tape for his marks, you know?
Right.
So I walked up to him and I changed my voice. I said, Mr. McDonough, what color tape would you like for your mark? And he turned around, and I mean, it was like hugging. The next day or whatever, Neil and I did a scene. It's complicated. You know, you got 3 actors, and one comes in and the other one leaves, and that one leaves and comes in, and, you know, so there's some movement around. And Neil and I didn't talk. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I said, action. I'm a handheld on my shoulder. I feel like I got to move into a 2-shot. So I have an over on Neil, and I just shoulder Neil out of the way. I rub against him. You know, we didn't talk, and he knew, and it was a ballet. And he just folded out of the way. And I know they got to look at him, you know, so he stayed there, and I moved in. And then at some point I felt like, all right, I'm going to pull back. And I did that. And then he just folded back into the over. And there was
subtle language.
There was no language. It just, we knew it was a ballet. We knew. He's a pro. I'm a pro. I mean, the scene where he gets shot in the head, he's the bad guy, you know, he gets shot in the head. And I have a close up of him. And it was like, Jesus Christ, it was 2 a.m, 3 a.m. It's like 28 degrees. We're freezing our asses off. We didn't say anything. I put the camera on my shoulder. He's going to get shot in the head. I don't know what he's doing. He didn't tell me what he was doing. I don't know. Is he going to fall? Is he going to go to it? I didn't know what he's doing. I said, let's go. And we did one take. And I followed him. Nobody leaves my frame. He fell straight down, and he fell out of frame. And I followed him down, and he fell out of frame. And we did one take. That's it, done.
I think that's so gratifying, man. Like, to work at that level of professionalism.
It's when you get those guys, when you get that.
No, and when they get someone like you as well, because it's a revolving door in that sense.
When you get that, then you play. That's when we're playing.
Yeah.
And it's so sexy, and it's just, it's all feeling. It's not mechanical, you know. That's why, you know, I work with cameras for 3 years. I don't know how to turn them on. I mean, who cares? I got somebody to turn on the camera. I just got to look through the frame. Doris Roberts, who was the mother on Everybody Loves Raymond with the white hair.
Right.
So we did a scene with her, and she's in a chair, and it's like a medium. And I put somebody on the camera to operate. And I lit her. And at the last second, I had a big white board, and I was right here, and I just slid it onto her lap out of frame. And she just looked at me. Now, he wasn't doing a damn thing. But I knew psychologically, she saw that and was there. She felt like I was giving her that, the little extra. So she was much more comfortable. You see? So it's all a mind game. I mean, what do we do in movies? What do I do in movies? I understand how the eye scans, the Western eye scans from top to bottom, left to right. I understand that. The audience's eye will automatically go to the brightest part of the frame. The eye will automatically go to any movement in the frame. So I can force the audience, if I'm the bad guys coming out of that door over there and the whole set's black and the light is over that doorway, they have to look there. They have no choice if that's where I want them to look. So I can force them to look where I want them to look. And that's my job, to manipulate. We did a movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and like everybody who's anybody was in this movie. Every day we had 3 new movie stars. I mean, Matthew Lillard. I mean, my God, every day it was just a cavalcade of. So the movie's basically about Cuba losing his girlfriend leaves him, and he's just tore up, and all his friends come over, and he's like, what am I going to do? And I want her back, blah, blah, blah. And the last scene, she comes back. We're at the door. So it was only my camera on Cuba. I'm going to start crying. And then Steve, my AC, Bellin, the best. He's like 6'4", like a bear. And I got my eye on the eyepiece, and she comes up, and she's got her suitcase, and she says, I'm coming back to you. And the whole movie, he wants her back, and he's dying. But he realizes he's not ready for her to come back. And he tells her, no, you can't. I'm not ready yet. Oh, my God. I'm crying in the eyepiece. I look at him. He's crying, because we know that scene, right?
You know it. It's a beautiful thing, Ricky. It's like you're living that moment again. What are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling that. It's real life, It's painful. It's real, But you see it in front of you, and it's not real. But still. But it was working then, right? Then they're doing their job, right? Because we believed him. And we're sitting there, we know it's fake. It didn't matter. So it's all in the writing and it's in the acting. There's so many bad movies because there's so many crafts involved, and usually more than one is going to fail. I've had sets that are so shitty that I have to turn off the lights because, I don't even want to see the set. So I just like the actors. The set's so bad. Things like that. Or the makeup's horrible, or, the wardrobe, and like, oh my God, what are you going to do? You do the best you can. When you get those moments that everybody's hitting, and then the directors, and then, you get those moments where all the motor's hitting on all cylinders, like with Neil and all that. You get those moments because you have these little microcosms going on. I operate with this eye open usually, and I got the eye, and I'm looking over here, and I catch the sound guy, and I can see the booms coming in, and I catch his eye, and I go, and he knows to take the boom up an inch because we're all the crafts are trying to work together.
You're just connected. So, and those moments sometimes feel so surreal because they just happen on the spot and they vanish really quick.
I love shooting rehearsals. There was a scene with Roseanne Arquette where she's searching the cabinets for an ID or something, credit card. We're going to rehearse it. It's very manic. And I said, nope, because it was one of these big rooms. It was a closet, and a mansion. And I said, no, let's just do it. I don't want to know what you're doing. Because if I rehearsed it, I'd be, And I said, nope. I said, just do it. I'm really good at what I do, but I'm just a little bit late, just imperceptible late, So it's much more organic that way.
Absolutely. I love that.
I have one AC who's John Jung, who's Korean, who is one of the most brilliant and a lovely man. When him and I work, focus, because it's lighting and composition, right? Now focus becomes, when him and I only work, focus becomes a storytelling tool because now we manipulate the focus. Do we follow her face to the Christmas tree because she's going to put an ornament, or do we go down to the ornament and let the ornament be out of focus until she puts it on the tree? So we start manipulating focus to tell the story. The scene is about this person here, they're talking, and there's a picture of the family in the back, and the scene is about the family. And we start on the picture and we come to the person, and we just are a beat late, racking the focus from the painting of the family to them. Just imperceptibly a beat late, not a perfect focus pull, just a beat late, to stay on the family a little longer. Now, we're not making movies. Now we're telling a story. Now we're reaching in here, man. That's where we want to go. I want to be in here. I want to do this to you for 90 minutes.
Okay. Ricky, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Thank you so much, man. I truly appreciate your honesty, your vulnerability. It's a beautiful thing. I actually traveled with you to those moments. Guys, we'll be right back. We'll be so right back with Ricardo Jaques Gale. Stay tuned.
We want to take this moment to thank our partners that helped us make this show possible. Cinematographer has provided film equipment, training, and rental services inside and outside the United States since 1968. Theatrical Productions offers consulting, productions, and rental services in Central and South America for a wide range of films, advertising, marketing, commercial projects, and more. Art Accelerator is a non-profit organization that helps emerging artists accelerate their careers through film classes and film industry networking events. Welcome back to the Cinema Pathway. Thank you so much for watching. We are back to the one show that puts you in the middle of the action in cinema. We are back with our dear guest, Ricardo Jaques Gale. Could you tell us the most challenging work that you've produced, directed, participated in, basically?
We were shooting West Beirut, which is the film I'm most proud of. We shot it in Lebanon, and that was the one that won awards at Cannes and at TIFF. And Ziad, the director, that was his first directing gig. He used to be Tarantino's focus puller on
Really?
Tarantino's first 3 or 4 movies. And he's an absolute lunatic. And I would walk to hell with him and for him any day of the week. I mean, an obsessed and crazed filmmaker, and I adore him. We just finished shooting a scene and the sun was going down, and I don't know what they were doing. And I sat down and I'm watching the sunset, and he came up to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm watching the sunset," because that was what was important at that moment, not to miss that. All this is going to happen anyway, but
just absorbing the moment.
Just take a minute, man. To smell the flowers. It was that moment.
Right,
you understand?
right. Yeah.
It was that moment. That's happened to me on films, and I can't tell you any other stories about that, but there's that moment where you just got to take a second, man. I was doing my first and apparently last Hallmark Christmas movie. True stories. I mean, you want to hear stuff. I'm walking with the director. It's a 14-day schedule. On day 12, we were shooting this right outside of Park City, and we're walking to the next location, and he shows me his phone from the Suits, from Hallmark, because they send shit all the time,
Right.
Every day. I'm reading the text. I wish I had taken a photo. It said, "We're watching your dailies. We're crying. It's so beautiful." They do 35 Christmas movies a year. It's the same script. They just change the title. The most beautiful Christmas footage we've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow. So after a year of calling them, and so they never hired me again, of course. Why would they? Do a good job. You'll never get hired again. So I like dark and contrasty better generally, but this is not that kind of movie. It's a Christmas movie. It's, a lot of light. The whole movie looks like a shampoo commercial because all the women do not go anywhere without a backlight. I mean, wherever they are, they got a backlight. And the 2 women that were doing hair and makeup, they were in the hallway. And I stepped off the set for a second and I go, yeah, I can do this. It's okay, but I like dark. And they're like, this Christmas, there's going to be some woman in a trailer on a television set watching this, and you're going to make her smile. You do this pretty well. Maybe you should do this more often. It's just moments like that stick with you,
Right.
And it's not about me. It was about, I'm going to be dead soon. And, I got to give God gave me talent. I'm so happy that Saturday when I was born, he's going through the Rolodex and he's like, no. Okay, Ricardo, yeah, make him a cinematographer. I don't need any more plumbers right now, And that's what happened. I can't do anything. I'm terrible at everything. It's the only talent I have. Now I had to develop it. Of
course.
And then when I die, I got to give it back. If somebody else is going to need it. So it's not mine. None of it's mine. The car isn't mine. The food isn't mine. It's just, I'm blessed, that God.
That you're able to do what you do.
Oh my God, are you kidding? The best thing about my job? You get to work with talented people. And sometimes they're passionate about it too. And then if you can push each other, that's even more fun. And it gets to that point, you don't go, oh, do it better. It's like that. Yeah. And it's like that. And then, he knows and I know. That's how I communicate. I can tell you when I light a set, I have no conscious memory. If I lit this set and walked outside to do the next scene, I can't tell you what I did in here. I can't.
Right.
I don't know.
It was just in the moment. It's in the moment.
It always happens. If you tell me, go outside and write down what you just did, I can't tell you how and why. I can't. When I get on the camera, I always do this thing, and I've caught myself. I'll take the camera and I'll go like the wheels. I have my own at home. So I go like this, and I'm looking for the camera's going like that, and I go, and that's it. That's the composition. I can't tell you why.
You just see it. You feel it.
I feel it. It's all feel. It's feel. I don't even see anything. It's just feel. It's just like
feels right.
And it's that. It's that. And the difference between a great composed shot and a shitty one is about 1/4 of an inch. It's that much. It's that much on top. It's that much on the side. It's that much makes the difference between something brilliant and beautiful and like a McDonald's hamburger. And then God goes like this every once in a while and gives you that thing. Not everybody, some. And he gives you that thing, whatever that thing is. And you're just a little bit better. A little just...
Why is there a little bit more?
It's just a little, you just have the thing.
Do you watch your own work after it's done?
No.
Why not?
I've shot 46 movies, 5 officially as a DP. I've seen 6, and most of them because if they have a screening or premiere or something, there's free food and drink and girls. So I'll go.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you? So Ricky, what's your take on the AI movement in cinematography today? I mean, obviously it has pros and cons. I think it's pretty much becoming like Skynet at this point. It's going to be out of control. It's going to be self-aware August 28th for some reason.
You say that laughing. It's not funny. They're going to kill us.
Yeah.
No, the robots are going to... No. The guys that have built the AI and all that, they've said they're eventually going to kill us all, which is fine with me. Really, I'll be first in line because really we've shit all over this planet. We don't deserve it. And it's okay. I'm good because, the planet is a self-cleansing mechanism. Within 2 or 3 million years, there won't be any more styrofoam and the oceans will be clean because I don't know about you. Your brain's full of plastic like mine. I have radioactivity from the Hiroshima bomb in my body. I mean, besides, I'm not going to be here when they kill everybody. I'm sorry I'm going to miss it. But the reality is it's a great tool for storyboarding, super great tool for storyboarding because you can get what we used to call in commercials animatics. But my friend just spoke into a phone and he sent me these clips that I thought were stock footage. Helicopter, rain, storm, helicopter crashing. I mean, photo real. And he spoke into a phone. So it's going to kill effects houses, which is a shame because those people work really hard and are talented. I think kind of what I was thinking about is if I was a director, I could make a movie with Paul Newman. Now, everybody else could be real and they would get to talk to a basketball, but you could have Paul Newman. I mean, is it right or wrong? I don't know, but it's kind of cool. I mean, there's guys that are dead that I want to work with. And
Brando?
Yeah, I mean, and he wouldn't be a pain in the ass to work with, if he was AI, so it's all that. So yeah, that's it. Cinematography, I don't care. I don't know if it works for cinematography or not, but I'm sure they'll find a way to do it. By then I'll be too old to be hired anyway, so it's okay.
Although it would be really cool, like you said, to have someone like that on set, which is really not there. So it's kind of a paradox.
Right.
But then at the end, it could be Paul Newman, it could be Brando, it could be Robin Williams. And then you would have to be a really good actor to react to a basketball and think it's Robin Williams. How can you laugh?
But what about maybe AI combined with a hologram live on the set, so you're actually acting with a hologram that you can see and it can react to you using the AI. Sorry, that was the acid kicking in the flashback. Sorry. Okay, let's move on.
About the short films that you did, 34. You produced some of them. Independent filmmakers. What are the greatest memories of those projects?
Shorts are shorts. I mean, I don't know. I mean, shorts a lot of times are beginning directors, and then they hire somebody like me with some experience. So...
And what's your approach when it's like their first day and you've done 94 projects? Are you waiting?
Here's the thing for me. I have my tools, and Spielberg or Cameron or these level of guys will go, it's a 50 millimeter here. And they know what that is. But because they've done this for a while, and Spielberg can come over here and operate the wheels, and Cameron, they can. However, 99% of directors, especially if they're starting, don't know anything. They don't know what a 50 millimeter is. They don't know what 100 millimeter is. So I can either spend a month with them educating them, or we can just shoot the movie and they can say, talk to the actors, say roll and cut, and I'll photograph the movie. We'll get it in the can. We talk about in cinema, I'm telling you stuff that you should not hear. There's a triangle. Okay. And their triangle is the director, the first AD, and a DP. You can make any movie with 2 of the 3. You only need 2. Any combination of those 2, you can make a movie pretty well. I've done it many times. I've actually done it sometimes where I was the only dot in the triangle. It's not a lot of fun when you're the only dot in a triangle. I remember one movie, day 1, scene 1, rehearsal 1, and the AD and I are standing together, and the director came up and said, "What are we going to do?" And he walked away, and I turned to the AD and I said,
"What are we going to do?"
Yeah, I turned to the AD and I said, "We're fucked." and we were. I was right again. That was a movie that I actually was fired twice off the same movie, which is not easy to do, okay? But I don't think a lot of guys have been fired twice off the same job. But I got fired. This director, he wasn't a director. He owned a newspaper, a local newspaper, a tiny little, like a local, like 3-block local newspaper. But he had a lot of money, so he paid for this movie. Casper Van Dien was the lead. And Robert, he was married at the time to Robert Mitchum's granddaughter, who was stunning. She was so sweet and so beautiful. And actually, Robert gave us a little scene on the set. I remember I shot him. I don't remember what that scene was. But anyway, this guy didn't like anybody telling him no. I told him no. He fired me on a Friday night. Monday, they brought in another guy. I know who the guy was. And I said, "Oh, this is going to be..." So he called me at 4:30, Monday. So when you get a call from the guy that fired you at 4:30 a day later, I mean, I knew what that call was. "Can you please come back?" And, 4 days later, he fired me again. So
you definitely made an impact for sure.
Robert Mitchum leads me. I think I was the last guy to shoot him, maybe in that movie. That may have been the last thing he'd ever done. So I was doing Steadicam on a movie, HBO movie. They changed the title. I don't know what it's called, but it was called The Old Dick. And they changed... They changed it. It was. I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
Stay tuned for The Old Dick, only on HBO. Dude.
It's Robert Mitchum and Ernest Borgnine. So I was only day playing as a Steadicam operator. So we showed up at the Coliseum, and Mitchum is the detective chasing Borgnine, the bad guy. So the director comes up to me, and it was this horrible camera that was like a tank, and the camera was a piece of shit. It was really heavy. And he said, "Okay, you get no rehearsal, and you get one take. So we're going to break the run. They got to chase each other, outside, down the stairs, across the field. So you get one take per shot. No pressure."
Yeah, no rush, no pressure.
So anyway, whatever. Long
No
story.
stress.
I do it. Whatever. I get them on the field, and then
No
they tackle
fear.
and they start doing coverage. So for some reason, Mitchum is sitting in his tall director's chair, and I'm like, I'm just standing there next to him. He doesn't know who I am. And he turns to me and he said, "You know the best thing about these movies, kid?" And I said, "No, sir. What's that?" He said, "You don't have to read the fucking script."
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that was kind of a cool moment from a Hollywood legend. When you get to work with these legends, that was a moment I'll never forget.
Pretty much like the script reads me. I don't read scripts.
Doesn't need to. I mean, it just, he knows how to fake it well enough. Brad Dourif, he stayed in character. I'm sitting next to him at lunch, and he was playing sort of a mentally disabled, person in the movie. And he stayed in character, so he had a speech impediment. So we're just having a conversation. He stayed in character with a speech impediment, But this guy was in Cuckoo's Nest, Another movie. Who's the guy in Roger Rabbit? The old guy. I shot him twice. Christopher Lloyd. We're in this vineyard, in this mansion, surrounded by a vineyard, and so we shot some there. A lot of the movie there and around there. The crew was in town at some, $2 a night hotel. So they put Chris in the master bedroom and I put me in the other end of the mansion. That's it. There's nobody there. So we'd wake up every morning, put our robes, and we'd go in the kitchen. I'd make coffee, and Chris Lloyd and I are sitting around talking shit about, he's very, very quiet and reserved. And then there was later, the town found out that Chris Lloyd was, so they, you immediately go to a bar and all the girls jump on you, and you go to a bar and they buy you free drinks.
Fascinating anecdote. We're going to take a small break, and we will be right back. And when we do, we're going to hear a little bit more about Ricardo's reflection and his final thought. Stay tuned. Cinema Pathway TV, we are committed to bring value to you and our film community as we explore the craft of filmmaking around the world. Also, visit us online at www.paradoxicalfilms.com/shop, where you can purchase Paradoxical Films and Cinema Pathway gear such as hoodies, t-shirts, hats, stickers, and more. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at cinema_pathway_podcast for behind-the-scenes footage, photos, and more. And we are back to the Cinema Pathway TV show with our dear guest, amazing cinematographer and human being, Ricardo Jaques Gale. Ricky, it's been an amazing moment to share with you. As a cinematographer, can you talk about the lenses that you use? Why do you like them so much? Aside from the fact that they're necessary.
There are a lot of lenses that have no personality. You know, there's some lenses called CP2s, which Arri made because they were cheap. Red came out and there were no lenses. Everybody was looking for lenses. There are many lenses like that have no personality. I owned for a long time a set of lenses made in the 50s and 60s called Super Baltars. Super Baltars were used to shoot The Godfather. Now, they were made by Bausch & Lomb, who makes Ray-Bans. They have a radioactive coating on them. Now, these lenses, every single lens is an entirely different personality. So because they're defective in their designs. I mean, so the 20 millimeter, which is the wide, you don't want to shoot people because the sides are like really out of focus. The 35 is an inherently bad design. And if you're outside at night shooting and street lights, the street lights will bloom. They'll get a little glow on them, almost like a filter. Okay, only the 35 does that. Now, the 75 millimeter that I used all the time for close-ups is absolutely breathtaking. Really breathtaking. I mean, it's just, I ended up selling those lenses because it's very hard to use these lenses on any sort of big movie because they're somewhat delicate, and if you don't get them rehoused or whatever. The last lenses I used on a movie I did last October, the first time I used them, they're fairly new for Aeroflex, called Signature Primes. Now, they've designed them, you don't have to use them this way, but they have little glass filters. They have 6 glass filters you can just magnetically put on the back. So they come in 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 2, 3, positive 1, 2, 3. I don't want to get into what they both do. The bokeh, which is a Japanese term, it means the out of focus or the background. Now, the bokeh on the negatives tend to make, like if you had 2 buildings, I'm exaggerating, but it makes the bokeh do this, and on the positives it makes the bokeh do that, which is not normal. I use those lenses with a positive 3, the strongest bokeh that way, and I just fell in love with those lenses. I mean, I just want to sleep with those lenses. I mean, there's just something about them. There are many other good lenses. I don't like super clean, perfect lenses. A very big trend in the last 15 years was to take all the bad character out of the lenses and make them perfect. They're very sterile, okay? I don't like that. You know, Leicas. Leicas are very sterile. They're very perfect. Nothing wrong with that. Roger Deakins loves that. I don't like that. When I'm lighting a set, this happens all the time, and a guy's over there on that light making a backlight on these flowers, and I'm standing there, and as he's panning the light, it hits this thing, and I'm like, whoa, stop. Put it back. Here. Great. Leave that here. Now put another one over there. I can light perfectly, but life is not lit perfectly. Nothing, you know. So I like the mistakes. I like the mistakes in operating because it looks a little more organic. I like odd or mistakes sometimes in lighting. You know, when I can find those get me excited. The mistakes. I live for the mistakes. I really do. Every day, I'm like, yeah.
I think it's just like the natural composition of things in terms of like, yeah, it makes sense that what we usually see every day, we perceive it maybe as a perfect thing, but it, you know, when you see it through a camera, it really doesn't look. It's like, you know, when those 3D televisions came out, I hated those things. I couldn't stand watching a movie in one of those things because, you know, my eyes don't perceive life that way. So it kind of looked weird in that sense, like the shots, you know, it was just too much perfection. And like, I had friends that loved it. I hated it. I think that it served a purpose, like for maybe video games.
Yeah.
But for movies, yeah, I don't.
You're an actor. I mean, what's it like when you're acting with somebody else and you blow a line or you riff a line, you change a line? I mean, it's a mistake. So I would imagine some actors don't like.
But it's part of the process.
But I mean,
it is what's expected.
That could be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It might take you on a little.
It'll take you somewhere else,
right?
If you really catch it and like
go with it.
And go with it. It'll take you somewhere else.
It makes it more fun, no?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without the anticipation.
Right.
Which is
surprise.
Exactly. With no anticipation.
Yeah.
Would you say that before you were recognized as a professional cinematographer, you must have gone through a lot of gigs before you got to that point?
It was maybe a little different from me. What it was for me was it took me a very long time to say I was an artist. That was very hard for me Took me a very, very long time because I didn't feel I was there yet or I deserved it, I hadn't done a body of work that was good enough, that I knew enough of what I was doing to say that word, to call myself an artist, Plus, I have more issues in Sports Illustrated, but, one of them is I have a little bit of imposter syndrome, if you know what that is.
Can you explain it to me?
Imposter syndrome is I'm a cinematographer. Everybody knows I'm a cinematographer, but I'm not sure I'm a cinematographer, a very good one. I don't really kind of believe it sometimes. As imposter syndrome, I'm kind of faking being a cinematographer. I'm not really one. Brian May of Queen, the guitarist, has imposter syndrome big time. He doesn't think he's a very good guitar player.
Yet he's a guitar player for Queen. So what would you say that will be the best advice for young cinematographers that you could give them? Especially with this whole thing that we've talked about, with the AI era. Maybe not, it's different for them as it was for you when you started.
Yes and no. It was much more difficult learning through film than now. You turn on a camera, what you see is what you get. I mean, a very good friend of mine, John Guerra, a gaffer. Oh my God, he probably gaffed 2,000 music videos. He lit Cher on the Battleship. I mean, back in the day, and he's still working. And he told me something. So he said, use light meters more than maybe we use them now. And he said, the minute we didn't have to use a light meter anymore, we couldn't tell the producers, fuck you. And that's really true because film, it was very more sort of mysterious. Now it's like it's right there on the monitor. It's not so magical anymore. They can see it and go, that looks like shit. They couldn't do that with a film camera. So young cinematographers, I haven't worked with a lot of Gen Zs in the film department because they kind of don't last very long.
Why is that?
Cinema's not a place to complain a lot.
So that's where it starts? Like that's the pattern?
Well, it's like I had to read a lot of books and I went to a lot of museums and I studied art and I went to the Louvre and my friends took me to the Petit Palais in Paris and showed me Delatour when I didn't know who Delatour and Delacroix was. And they educated me on artists and painting and there's also bullshit lighting in art, but Delatour is not that, so I learned Cartier-Bresson and I always wanted to be Cartier-Bresson. I can't be, but he was an inspiration to me, a still photographer. So, what I'm getting at is a lot of work and a lot of research. No one's going to hand me brilliant cinematographer on a plate. You got to work for it, pal. You got to eat a lot of cold pizza at 3:00 in the morning.
Earned, not given.
Thank you. I think we've covered that.
If Ricardo had the opportunity to do everything he's done in his line of work, would he do it all over again the same way, or would you do it in a different way?
It's hard. I got to separate my life out of the cinema path. When I do that, now I'm like, okay, just the cinema path, because my life interrupted my cinema path a lot. Marriages, divorces, other things like that, little things like that, alcohol, drugs. Nobody really slept in the 80s. Yes. And because my path was, I started in Miami as a PA. We just have cell phones, so I was doing a commercial for Eckerd Drugs, I remember, and they sent me from Medley to Dadeland to get a blue tablecloth. And I came back with a blue tablecloth. And you know what? The agency people didn't like that blue. So I went back to Dadeland and I came back with 6 blue tablecloths. That's how I learned. They liked one of those. So I started out as a PA. I was taught in Miami because that time it was the Wild West. I got working, I had the office keys for a company and I was basically on staff for this company for 2 years and they were the second biggest commercial house in Miami. So during shoots, I learned the first day I was on a commercial set, I went from that movie, The Cheerleaders Beach Party, on a Friday because the production guy came down from that commercial company and says, who's the best Miami person? And the guy he knew from New York, he said, oh, Ricardo. Well, I finished that movie Saturday after working 30 hours straight. And Monday morning, I was on a Ryder truck commercial. And, we have a dolly shot. Oh, there's no dolly grip. Well, I opened the box. I took the wheels out. I read the instructions and got the wrench and put the wheels on and put on track. Well, you're the dolly grip. That's how I learned. Take initiative. This is not for the weak-kneed. Most people, you best be, Shark Tank. This is a Shark Tank. There's not a lot of C personalities in film. There's mostly A's. So we're really good at fighting for what we want. And when it's not your ego, which sometimes it is, and it's about the project, then, cool things can come out of it. So my path, PA, grip, electric, dolly grip, key grip, the 3D movie, gaffer. Not a lot, but long enough in these jobs to know, to learn.
I think that's great that you know everything about the environment that you're working.
A good working knowledge. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I came up. I worked in a film lab. I ran a grip and lighting rental house. And then I got into Steadicam, which was really perfect timing, right place, right time. That took me from here to there. Like, that was a whole nother thing. I made like 2 good decisions in my life. I think that was one of them. Yeah.
That was great. So, on that note, are you ready for final thoughts?
Oh my God. Yeah. Is this like that thing on TV?
We designed this little segment just to know a little bit more about you, just have a little fun, kind of like blow some steam after all of this journey that you've shared with us, which I'm very, very grateful have been present with you here. I'm going to start just asking these questions, and you're not going to think about anything. You're just going to be very impulsive and in the moment.
It's like my therapist. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Exactly. What's your favorite word?
Motherfucker.
What's your favorite color?
Purple.
What is your favorite place?
Capri in Italy.
Ooh, nice. What about your favorite movie?
Wizard of Oz. All of life's questions are answered in the Wizard of Oz.
Beautiful. How would you like to be remembered?
He was a pretty good guy.
And you are, my friend. You really are. If you have to put it into one word, your life's work, what would that word be?
Integrity.
I love it, which I know you have it, man. You have it for sure. Where can the audience find you?
Instagram, pretty much. Facebook, I really don't go in there. It's political death. Yeah, I think it's Ricardo Jaques Gale. I Google myself all the time, but I never go to Instagram. So,
any words of wisdom for our audience that you would like to share before we go?
Help somebody else.
Be of service.
Exactly.
Well, Ricardo.
I was named after him, actually.
Yeah, you told me that. Thank you so much for being with us today, for sharing all of your wonderful stories, your experiences, for being so open to be vulnerable and share all those magnificent moments in your life with us. Here at the Cinema Pathway Show, you have a house, you have a family. We wish you the best in your future projects, and you can always come back. You're more than welcome.
So sweet.
Thank you, my friend.
I'd be happy to shoot anything for you guys. I'll give you a friend and family rate. It'll be half price. It'll be great. Yeah.
We have reached the end of our show with our dear guest, Ricardo Jaques Gale. Please stay tuned for future episodes of the Cinema Pathway podcast on your favorite platform. Thank you so much once again for being with us at your favorite show, and that is a wrap.
Lights